immediate stop on the Cannibal Run brought us to Charlottesville, Virginia. Here, at the Virginia Film Festival, MagicalButter.com presented the premiere of The Scientist, featuring the world-renowned biochemist Raphael Mechoulam, the godfather of cannabis research. Not only has Dr. Mechoulam pioneered the science of cannabis in Israel, but his courageous efforts have paved the way for the acceptance of cannabis as a modern medical miracle. Dr. Mechoulam is credited with the discovery of THC, CBD, and the endocannabinoid system, an entirely new system of the human body previously unknown to science. MagicalButter.com founder and CEO Garyn Angel, along with a panel of modern cannabis pioneers, had the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Mechoulam via Skype about what's next in the world of cannabis.
Dr. Mechoulam, Garyn is in the midst of the Cannonball Run, which is coordinated with us here in Charlottesville for the screening of The Scientist. So before I ask you the question, we all want to wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you.
And if you care to explain your right to left explanation, that might be fun for us all.
Well, thank you. I'm just 85, I'm very tired. And in Hebrew one reads from right to left. So, as I have obviously forgotten all other languages I know, and I read only from right to left. 85 in Hebrew will read 58. So I'm 58.
Congratulations on that formula. We'll all start reading Hebrew very shortly, I'm sure.
We would love to hear your opinion on everything to do with cannabis.
Cannabis, whether it's the extract of cannabis or individual compounds of cannabis, are very good drugs for specific diseases. For every disease, not every compound is good for every disease. Some compounds, cannabidiol is good for one thing, and THC is good for another thing. Sometimes extracts are better than an individual compound because of what we call entourage effect. So we have to know quite a lot.
Dr. Mechoulam shared some interesting information regarding the use of CBD, the most important medical molecule in cannabis, to treat type 2 diabetes and other autoimmune diseases.
I mean, we know, for example, in diabetes type 1, which is an autoimmune reaction, the body acts against its own cells and causes diabetes in this case. Diabetes type 1, we have shown that cannabidiol is an excellent drug against diabetes type 1. It's an autoimmune disease. There are other autoimmune diseases. We've shown that in rheumatoid arthritis, there are probably 100 autoimmune diseases out there.
One serious concern that Dr. Mechoulam repeatedly expressed during that interview was the lack of clinical trials in humans.
Nobody has looked into diabetes type 1 with cannabidiol in humans. In Afro, I think we're different than mice. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. Cancer. So many people use cannabis for cancer. There are different cancers. Now, this is not so simple to test in animals because our cancers are not exactly the same as the cancers in mice, or in rats, or and yet other species. It has to be tested in humans. And yet there isn't a single clinical trial, a modern clinical trial, in any cancer. We published 35 years ago a clinical trial, a small one, 15 patients, adult patients, obviously not children, and we found that it's an excellent drug. Patients that nothing was helping them anymore, these patients were helped by cannabidiol for a pretty long time. So we thought that something will happen. Nothing happened. To the best of my knowledge, there isn't a single published trial with cannabidiol. Then parents came and found that obviously cannabis with a lot of cannabidiol helps a lot of children with epilepsy. Nothing was helping them. So they are trying to get cannabis extracts of one type or another, and luckily a few companies are doing clinical trials at the moment.
We had a couple questions. I'm going to let ML go first.
mentioned it a little, Dr. Mechoulam. Does CBD protect the heart during cardiac arrest? And if so, how can we best implement it in the United States or internationally?
Well, the cardioactivity of cannabinoids is very complicated. It's not a single condition. There are so many things that happen with our heart. It's a little bit difficult to go into details, but basically, if a place in the heart does not get the blood it needs, something has been blocked there, and it does not get it, then obviously that part of the heart that needs the oxygen slowly or not so slowly may not work anymore. But then sometimes it can be opened, then the blood comes in all of a sudden, and it also can cause damage because of the suddenness of what's happening. I'm trying to do it very simply. Well, it seems that cannabidiol helps in these conditions. But at this moment, even in animals, we don't have enough data. And I would not be running ahead at the moment, with cannabis, with cannabidiol, THC, or a mixture in cardiac conditions. We still have to learn quite a bit in animals. This is not a first priority, terribly important, but we don't have enough data, even the animal data, we don't have enough.
Here's the question that coincides with the Cannonball Run and our concern for veterans and PTS. The suicide rate amongst veterans in the U.S. is a staggering problem. What advice would you give to the VA and struggling veterans with regards to treating PTS, TBI, and/or war trauma with cannabis?
Well, that's a very complicated disease. It's not one disease. I mean, the symptoms may be more or less the same, but it's a very complicated situation. It seems that THC will help. There are several investigations, and it has been shown that in PTSD patients, some of the symptoms can be helped. For example, many of these patients are afraid to go to sleep because they wake up in the middle of the night with everything that caused the trauma comes back. They're just afraid. They don't want that happening night after night. Well, it was shown some years ago in Canada that the cannabinoid can help with that. We just published a couple of months ago a small paper showing that PTSD patients, and not only soldiers, but we have a few women that have undergone sexual trauma and so on. We found that THC twice a day, not very high, twice or 3 times a day, not very high doses, pure THC, make you sleep much better. We didn't see any side effects of major importance. They also claimed that they felt better. They also claimed that it's not only the sleep, but also some of the other symptoms. It has to be done on a much larger scale in order to look at the very different symptoms under different conditions and maybe the different types of trauma. I'm not sure that one type of trauma is identical to another. So all this has to be investigated. The THC has been shown, we have shown it, other people have shown it, definitely helps slow and